Okay, well, the reason for the workshops with me coming down has been over the years to help not just promote bonsai, but also for you guys too, to help get your trees into not as help along the way to get them improved and try different techniques and do with them. I've got to say that they're improving way ahead of everything else. Looking really, really good. You should be all proud of yourselves of where you're going with them. I think they're great. We did a workshop on Sunday morning for trees that were going into the show, just to, as we now call it, tweak them, put final touches into them, and I'm sure you're going to have a great show this year again. Okay, now look, what I want to give a bit of a brief tonight as well is, apart from what excuse me, the workshops and demonstrations are all about, is to try and introduce to you different methods and techniques that you possibly haven't seen. Not all of you may have computers, I'm sure majority, 99.9% have, but some haven't, so it's important to them to see something physical, because even though you may see it on a computer, it's not always as easy as seeing it live. And I think seeing it live, you get to see the worst parts as well. Usually on a computer they've all been cut off, you don't see the worst parts and things that happen. So I think it's quite good to see that. We all inspire ourselves to try and get something old. The idea of bonsai, of course, is to try and make our trees look older than they really are. That comes down to technical things we do, comes down to practical things we do, comes down to techniques which you can learn. We come down to the fact of trying to age the trees. But as humans, we're trying to go the other way, make ourselves look younger. So we don't want to do that with our trees. We want them to look as old as we can. So what happens when you get to the stage where you've been doing bonsai? It doesn't matter how many years you've been doing it, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 30, 40 years, doesn't matter. We're still trying to achieve that image of trying to create something. Because what we have to separate two are the two different aspects of bonsai. It's quite an intrinsic art form, because we're dealing with two types of things happening together. We have the horticultural side and we have the artistic side. And one can't be without the other, so they form a symbiotic relationship. Everyone you know will say, oh well, bonsai, they really are quite artistic, aren't they? But have you ever seen bonsai in an art gallery? Generally speaking, no.
There's an argument they should be.
Well, that's right.
And that we should get sponsorship by artistic groups.
To go into an art gallery. We're working on that in the big picture, but it's hard to get together. But saying that, I have exhibited in an art gallery, into the New South Wales Art Gallery. If I can tell you a quick story about that, it was interesting. There's about 5 of us were invited to display bonsai trees in the main foyer. The main foyer of the art gallery is about as big as the whole car park. For those who have been to New South Wales Art Gallery, it's a huge gallery. We were only allowed to be in the foyer because the curator of the art gallery, Edmund Capon, thought our plants would invade the paintings and ruin them. We'd send all the creatures over to eat the watercolours and the oil paints, you know. We've got this weird thing of what plants do to the rest of the artworks. So he wasn't very impressed with it happening. But the only reason we were invited to put a display on was for the opening of the new Age and Art Wing that opened about 8 or 9 years ago. Everything went pretty well. They made special prints for us to put all our bonsai on, which then cost about, I think about over $1,000 each. So they spent quite a bit of money getting it together. And out of interest, they had to bring in 4 extra security guards to patrol around, not the paintings, around the bonsai. Because they were the most looked at exhibits they'd ever had in the history of the art gallery.
Okay.
As a general thing. Yeah. So, you know, where are they coming from? But the other interesting thing with that, on the Friday, we set up on the Friday morning, and on the Friday afternoon, there was a book signing by Dame Edna. and he was going to sign his books for the launch of his new book around in the foyer of the art gallery. And the curator of the art gallery said, well, we'll expect you here, but there'll be hundreds of people coming for the book signing, which they were. He said, but of course we'll get rid of these bonsai out of here for you. And Barry Humphrey stood up and said, if you do that, I will refuse to sign the book. This is the best thing you've ever had in the art gallery.
Oh, wow. Great.
So that I think went down really, really well. It did for us anyway, we felt great about it. So it's very hard to say, well, yes, they're trees, they're artistic, but do they belong in our gallery? Sure, if they've got an outside area,
Yeah.
which they haven't. So we have the Arboretum. Most of you know that I'm on the committee too for the Arboretum in Canberra. That's happening. And to put you in the picture, it's all going ahead really well. Opening should be next year. The official opening will be in 2013. They've started, this is up on the hill, we call it up on the hill, which those of you who don't know is the area that got burnt out by bushfires, and it was devastated, so they made it into an arboretum. And the arboretum is of 1,000 forests, 1,000 trees. 1,000 trees and 1,000 forests. So they're building these huge forests of all these endangered species from around the world. And it's really is the first time it's ever been done. So in conjunction with that, the Bonsai Arboretum, which is already open, has been the most tremendous way of getting the Canberrians to believe in what's happening, because there's something visual they can see. And what we've also tied up doing is creating bonsai out of some of the trees that have been planted into the gardens. And the Canberrian Bonsai Club are doing all the work. They've already done their first lot of trimming and shaping of the trees. So in 10 years, when they're ready, there'll be another link to the Arboretum where they'll be displayed. And it's the first time in the world where a new Arboretum has been built, where a bonsai section has been built in with it, and the same trees are being used for bonsai. So we're really doing the first thing in Australia. So it's good to, back it up, because it really is a really good thing happening for the future. None of us will probably be around to see the benefits of it, but
I'll be here.
That's right.
How far out of Canberra is it?
It's in Canberra. It's on what they call Dairy Farmers Hill. If you know where Lake Burley Griffin is, the middle of Canberra, there's what we call the Black Mountain, which is where the Telstra Tower is on the top. It's the next hill on the left, the entire hillside, 52 hectares. And you'll be able to drive the main roads, not the main roads, the drive-throughs are being built as we speak. So you'll be able to drive through, you can walk through. There's going to be bus trips through permanently. Because you're talking of a forest, you're talking of hundreds of trees in a forest, and they're all in different groups of trees. So there's all these rare species, even things like Taiwanese maple, ginkgos, which are semi-rare. So it's a really interesting project. To date, they have planted 46,000 plants. 46,000 trees so far to date have been planted. So all you see is these plastic bags all up the hillside with all the stuff growing in there.
Is it likely that eventually these trees are going to cross-pollinate, self-seed and
Absolutely.
multiply all over the place?
Absolutely.
And mind you, it'll be 20 years' time or more. When that happens, are the bonsai clubs going to get a chance to dig up the extra trees that you don't want?
I'm sure we can make that happen. I'm sure we can.
It sounds like it'd be a good project to consider in the
we can do
future.
that, because we've got quite a big sway with the government now, because on the back of us doing with the bonsai clubs, with the ABC and all the clubs in Australia, there's 5,000 people roughly across the nation, and when they had the opening in the where it is presently, it's only a small arboretum at the moment, so it's only 75 trees in there at the moment. When they opened that 3 years ago this September, 38,000 people went through it during the Canberra Garden Festival. last year, in September, 78,000 people went through. That's more than any bonsai place in the world. They usually get up to 100,000 people a year going through. But we had that in 3 weeks. So there's a tremendous amount of interest in it. So
That arboretum, is it like an enclosed structure for it? Or?
it's enclosed but open.
Okay.
Fully under full security. There's 5 different sets of alarm systems installed. None relates to the other, so
Yeah.
nothing can or should get stolen.
So do you have many trees in there?
Do I personally?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah.
I've got one tree which is which I donated, which is they're working on presently, which will be ready next year. But there's a lot more to go in. They want 5 more for the opening in 2013, so
Yeah.
that'll be quite interesting. That's being built as we speak. They've laid the floors down already, and you can go on the website. I think there's a link on the AABC website anyway, but if you look from the Canberra Arboretum website, Canberra Government, I think it's canberragovernment.org, whatever, but it's quite easy to find. You see all the plans, what's going to happen. It looks a little bit like one of the cells of the Opera House. That's the whole building, which is the Bonsai Arboretum. The first things to go is the Bonsai Arboretum, the Visitor Centre, cafe, and a open area for a viewing platform over to the city, because you're looking towards over Lake Burley Griffin, looking back to the city.
So the forest they're sort of setting up, that's just going to be all out in the open, isn't it?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Well, I'll put some info about it in the next month's newsletter.
Okay, thanks Paul. Do that. So I just want to put you in the picture, those that aren't aware of what's happening with that, but it really is of interest. So anytime we go to Canberra, the Arboretum's open every day of the year except I think Christmas Day, and during Floriade, it's not open at that. It's open during Floriade, but not the week before, because 2 weeks before they have to close, because they've got all the machinery and putting all the bulbs in and all that. So you can always find out anyway. It's really, anybody going that way, have a look. So going back to Bonsai again, which is where we're really here. The journey of bonsai and how we get there, it doesn't matter as long as you get to it. It doesn't matter how you do your bonsai, as long as you get something that you're happy with. But sometimes it gets to a stage, maybe where you don't know what to do with your bonsai, and you think, well, it's finished, it's no good, I'll leave it alone, don't know what to do with it, so I'll throw it out. Well, this is an example of one where you can say it really is quite a good tree, but it got a little bit out of shape. Not from, well, the owner of the tree did tell me they neglected it because they didn't know what to do with it, so they neglected it. Apparently it wasn't watered for 3 years. Is that right?
I was hoping it would do it.
That's unkind. That's cruel. So, what I decided to do today was to bring hopefully something a bit interesting and show you that never give up on a tree, no matter how old it looks, no matter how sick it looks, bring it back to health. And if you think there's nothing really very much to do with it, you can always change the tree.